Alright guys, I put out a poll the other day and you guys voted to see the Bystial Dark Magician deck list next. I like the Bystial cards, I do, they're just expensive and though it would be a good investment, I want to see more proof of Bystial DM, topping more locals and maybe a regional before I commit to purchasing them. I will probably end up buying them in the future, just not right now. But let's get into the list. I've tested this on DB, I've tested this on Omega. It works fairly decent, I would say, for DM right now, which Dark Magician is in a horrible spot right now. I don't care who you are. The people that say otherwise, that Dark Magician's tier 0, Jolifer, is wrong. Um, our deck's been bad since we lost Anaconda, I'm going to be honest. Branded format's a little different because you can obviously just main deck Village and Ref with Ash, and we did fine. But now it's not branded format, so we're in a bit of a worse spot. Anyway, we're going to go over the card choices while I'm playing them. You could treat this video more like a podcast because you see the list in front of you. There's not really, like, see the difference between Dueling Book deck profiles or Yugioh Pro deck profiles compared to ones you do, like, with physical cards, is people will just pause the video at the start, look at your deck list, copy it, and then, like, click off the video if they like it. Or if they don't like it, they'll do the same thing. Where in real life, they actually have to watch the video partly. So if you guys have made it this far in, or at the beginning, please subscribe. Trying to hit 400 by Christmas or January 1st. I don't know, I keep changing it. But anyway, before the new year starts, I want to hit 400 subscribers. It'd be great. But anyway, we are going to get into the deck profile now. So, to Dark Magician, the artwork doesn't matter. The LOB art is kind of growing on me right now. I use this art a lot in thumbnails. We all know Loza has his preferred art. This might end up being the mural art just because I like this art a lot right now. I just purchased a playset of like ultra rares for like $1.50. I need to buy the secret to this though. 2DM's kind of standard. You don't need 3. If you want to like play really old school DM, which I won't like give you any shit for because our deck's in such a bad spot right now, go for it. Fucking play casually, play your navigations, but don't call it a competitive deck list. So we're playing 2DM. One Dark Magician girl. If you're playing Salvation and Secret, she is the best brick. But honestly, if you wanted to play one of the Palladium monsters, you could play Mahad, and it wouldn't be like bad. The second brick, honestly, you could just cut it and play something else. It's not that important. But if I had to play one, just overall how good it is, it would be 100% Mana, just because Mana's an extender sometimes, and can summon herself sometimes. Or Mahad, you have to get lucky and draw it, and DMG can never summon herself unless you tribute summon her, which again, that wouldn't be her summoning herself. So, if you wanted to, you can play Mana. She DMG is a little bit better because it works better with the Dark Magician and Secrets of Dark Magic. So I might put Mana down here on the side just because I like Mana. I prefer Mana and Branded DM. We are on 1 Timaeus. You could play 2 of this, honestly. I don't hate 2. Timaeus is a far worse Anaconda. The Anaconda combo was just so good. You got your draw 2. You got bricks out of deck. Somebody's calling me and I can't answer it right now because I'm recording a goddamn video. So I'm going to turn my phone off. But, if we ever got Anaconda back, which honestly I think could come back because the top 4 decks, except for maybe Branded Bystial, wouldn't abuse it. Tier wouldn't use it, Sprite wouldn't use it, and Flu wouldn't use it. And I know Flu wouldn't because it was out with Anaconda and they weren't playing DPE or Dragoon. So, moving on. Timaeus is just worse Anaconda. If this card couldn't be responded to, or Salvation was like Magical Meltdown, they couldn't respond to like fusion effects, this card would be great. We'd love this card, but unfortunately, he doesn't do that. But he's okay. He's not the worst. Magician Souls is kind of standard. Gets one to brick out of your deck. Can be used with Timaeus to make Dragoon. If you have another card, usually you want Rod for that. But this card can also just get you draws when you need it, or just help extend in Dark Selene access code, or help make your Xyz. Which we'll get to the Xyz when we go over to the extra deck and I'll explain why I'm playing them. I'll also explain to weird side deck. Rod is the Stratos of the deck. You need to play Rod. Though Rod has gotten I'm gonna be honest, Rod's kind of gotten worse over the years because we're not back in the day, right? We played 3 Circle, 3 Navigation, 3 Eternal Soul, um, Illusion, Magic, Inheritance, because you're playing the Spellbook engine. Rod had a lot more cards he could search, right? So now you still have a couple cards you can search, but typically you want Soul Servant, and once you have Circle and Eternal Soul, the only other card you have is Secrets, and Secrets is kind of mid a lot of the time, so Rod's kind of in a weird spot once you have Circle Eternal Soul, but he does recycle himself. He's a free body. So, we love Rod. We love Rod. Rod's a good card. Rod just needs more targets for him to be exceptionally strong. Then we're playing the one Apprentice. Apprentice can help protect your Dragoon. It cannot protect Dragonite because Dragonite is not a spellcaster for some fucking reason. But Apprentice is very good. It's like Honest for your Dark spellcasters. We all know what this card is. When this card came out, this card was absurdly strong because we got a free body that added DM in the hand, and when she came out, we were playing Magician's Navigation, which, if you don't know what Navigation does, it's not really relevant to the deck profile, but essentially summons Dark Magician and another level 7 lower spellcaster from the deck, which isn't bad until you realize you can get ashed, but the grave effect's a more relevant part. Navigation, anyway, oh, at least now it would be. But she's still okay as a one-of. She's an extender, helps protect your stuff. Then 2 Illusion of Chaos, the Stratos for the Stratos of the deck, if that makes sense. We love it. We love Illusion of Chaos. You could play Saravis here too, if you really wanted to. But personally, Saravis is hit or miss. You could play it. I wouldn't give you shit for it. It might just straight pure DM, no engine. I'm playing it, and I like it. But moving on into the Bystials, which is the biggest part of the deck. Is it? No. There's more spells. But Pizza Hut, Magma Hut, whatever you want to call him, he is the best one because in the end phase, after you summon him, he searches Tamayas, which can set up into a Dragoon play next turn. Magma Hut is pretty damn strong. It's kind of hard to do test hands with Brain Abyss or with a Bystial engine because you don't know what your opponent's going to be playing against. If they're playing Flu, I'm not sure how strong the Bystials are. I haven't played against Flunderies with the Bystials. I played against Tear, Sprite, Sword Soul, and Branded, and they're pretty decent in those matchups. Flu, I'd have to do some more testing, but Magma Hut is the best one, followed by Druis Worm, because Druis Worm, I'm pretty sure, is the one that bounces a card. Target one special summon monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. Yeah. He can help get rid of problematic cards if they out him, and he's just another DD Crow. All the Bystial cards, if you don't know, are essentially DD Crow for light and dark monsters that give you a free body. Druis Worm and Magma are the best. You could play 2 Druis Worm if you wanted to play like another card, like Saravis or maybe a 3rd Secret Village when we get down here. But I like 3 and 3. The only one I say you don't have to max out on is Saronir, because Saronir is the one that does like branded stuff and one Bystial monster or one branded spell trap from your deck to the grave. He's not as good as his brothers. I'm going to be honest, but he is the cheapest one. So if you can't afford these two and you still want to play a Bystial, play Saronir. He's not a bad card. Pretty good, kind of underrated. Especially if you're playing Branded DM, there might be some cool ways to mess with this. But I feel like splashing Bystials with Branded and DM, you're kind of like limiting the DM cards. So I'm not sure how good that will be in hindsight. But moving on from Saronir, all the Bystials, except for they are like... Bystials are essentially used the same way as like DD Crow, but their other effects are what makes them different, obviously. But Magma Hut is the best. Druis Worm is number 2, and then Saronir is a distant 3rd, but he's still fairly strong. Moving on to the spells, we got 2 Dark Magical Circle. Do not play 3. I know if you're sub to Julifer, I was told he said that Rod's really only searching Circle, which isn't true. Rod's always searching Soul Servant. For 1, the Tamayas combo, and 2, if you summon Souls, let's say you already opened Tamayas and you summon Souls, Rod can just search Soul Servant and then Deckfin to get Salvation to get Eternal Soul or Circle. So it just makes more sense to grab Soul Servant anyway. But these two together, also with Upstart, is fairly strong. Upstart is a core DM card, which sounds dumb. Even if you're playing like 60 cards in DM, still play Upstart. Upstart works too well with Soul Servant and Upstart not to play. back in the day, if you didn't know, Upstart and Rod equal Dragoon, which was like the best fucking shit in the world. So, Upstart, cracked card in DM. These two cards, we all know what they do. This is a stack your deck and draw power. I wish, hopefully, one day we have a way to get a draw 4 or a draw 3 more consistently. Right now, we struggle to get the draw 2 unless we open one of our bricks. And Circle is essentially just Dark Magician's effect. I wish we got a, like in Blue Eyes alternative is like significantly better than Blue Eyes, but our retrain being Magician of Dark Illusion is like worse than Dark Magician, even though Dark Magician doesn't have an effect. We need a new retrain, and our best retrain is a Ritual. I would love to have that as support. It's just like a free special summon if you like have a card that mentions Dark Magician and is treated as Dark Magician in on field or in grave. So we could cut this bad boy to 1. But unfortunately, we don't have that, so we already talked about Upstart, generically good, works well with these cards. Secrets, I hate secrets. Like, I hated secrets when Verte was legal. I know I didn't upload then, but it sucks. Secrets blows dick. I'm not gonna lie, it's bad. But we have to play it as a quick play. You can make Guardian Chimera if you were playing it in theory. And you can use it to make the Dark Magicians or Master of Chaos. Master of Chaos is the only reason why Secrets is in the deck, because you can OTK of Master of Chaos if your opponent kind of bricks, which is kind of cool. But it's the only reason it's in here, and plus the other effect of Master of Chaos, being able to special summon a light or dark from grave, is like the only other reason Secrets is relevant, because he can revive Dragoon. Salvation, set the Eternal Soul, and then you send this card off to Myas or Souls to draw. The second effect of Summon Dark Magician Girl barely comes up. So it's not super relevant, though it is pretty good. We do need a better field spell. I wish this card acted like Meltdown, right? We're no longer an Xyz deck. Like, we have two Xyz monsters being Ebon High and Ebon Illusion, right? We're a fusion deck now. All we want to do is fuse. Make Dragoon, Dragonite, or any of the other stupid fusions Konami keeps giving us. Why can't we have a Meltdown? Branded has Branded Laws, which is essentially Magical Meltdown. Invoked has Magical Meltdown. Why can't we have one? Like, come on now. Please, Konami. And we have 3 prep to search Illusion of Chaos, which searches you Souls and Rod. So you have essentially 8 copies of Rod and 8 copies of Souls. And you also have essentially 6 copies of Timaeus and 6 copies of Apprentice if you need them, and DM and Apprentice, DMG and Dark Magician. I don't know why you'd search these off this. Sometimes you do want DM, but it's very, very like niche. But you never really want Magician Girl. And when you do want DM, you typically just get Souls anyway. Moving on, 1 Terraforming and 2 Secret Village. You could just play 3 Village, right? But Terraforming is slightly less bricky because Terraforming can grab you Salvation and or grab you Village. You could play set rotation here as well, but without Mystic Mind, I'm not a big fan of the set rotation package. You could play like set rotation Metaverse with Necro Valley and get away with it. Personally, I like this ratio with Salvation. This deck might change later on, and maybe I'll tweak the ratios. But for now, I really like Village. In pure DM, Village plus Rev is the best DM hand. And if you play branded DM, you know damn well the best DM hand has no DM cards in it. Also an Invoke DM too. But 2 Eternal Souls, kind of stock standard. You definitely don't need 3 of this because Salvation's like your 3rd copy, but you send it for a draw. Another cool interaction with Salvation, if you already open like Eternal Soul and you have like already have Circle, you can search Salvation off Rod and then send it for draws off Souls to get a free draw too. Which, not bad. It's not great, but it's something you can do. And 3 Skill Drain. We play very well under Skill Drain. You could just side this, and it will like kind of segue into this weird ass side deck. You could side this for when you know you're going first, and main deck Super Poly in case you go second. Because Super Poly is kind of like, it's not really underrated, but Super Poly in DM is very strong. Matt used to call like, had this thing called like the Church of Super Poly or whatever. And Super Poly is like stupidly strong, and I love Super Poly. In my first ever DM deck list on this channel, I main decked 2 Super Poly. Super Poly was cracked in Despia format especially, and don't forget you can activate Super Poly in the draw phase because it is a quick play. So if you're playing against like Dragon Link, Bystial, for example, I did this at locals playing Invoke the other day in draw phase, just Super Poly. Like if you're going second and eat like Boral End or something. Or you can obviously, a better scenario that happened at locals this past week playing Invoke is he evenly matched me and I send like Mechaba and Dogmatica Ecclesia with Super Poly set, and I kept Super Poly because I was able to Super Poly his Magma Hut and his Boral End into Starving Venom, and then I was able to use Starving Venom to go in the dark, steal his Boral, or attempt to steal his Boral End, and then proceed to OTK him. Super Poly is very good. Do not underestimate Super Poly. I know that was an example in Invoked, but it kind of translates into Dark Magician as well. But Super Poly, cracked card. You could easily main deck this if you wanted to. Personally, I kind of prefer Skill Drain because we obviously want to go first. But you could play Super Poly. I wouldn't play Dark Ruler because Dark Magician has issues breaking boards anyway, just with the core. So Dark Ruler would be a side deck card. Super Poly would be the board breaker you play in the main. But we will proceed to putting Super Poly back in the side and putting Skill Drain back in the main for sake of the video. Now, moving into the extra deck, 2 Dragoons, pretty stock standard. You could play Magical Ice Fusion as well if you wanted to, but I like 2. 1 Dark Magician or Dragonite. This card's okay. You don't make it a ton, but when you do with Eternal Soul, it is kind of annoying to out. But typically, I just prefer making Dragoon. I know Pop Winner loves this card. I love it too. It's just not as good as Dragoon unless you're in a DM mirror and you have Eternal Soul, then it's annoying. And you play the Dark Magicians and Master Chaos. These 2 cards could be cut. More so the Dark Magicians than Master Chaos. This card's just generic to make, and the fact that it doesn't identify it as Dark Magician and or Dark Magician Girl in grave is so stupid. Or grave on field or in grave. It's so dumb. Like, this card could be cracked with Soul Servant, and they came out in the same set originally, and it doesn't do that. Like, what the literal fuck, Konami? Alright, Master Chaos, we kind of already talked about this. This card's a big letdown. Any card coming out after Dragoon for DM is going to be a letdown. The new Fusion's an even bigger letdown. But moving into the links, you have to play Artemis. Recycle your Rod, because Rod is cracked sometimes. He's like a drunk little Alistair. Imduk, if you're not playing Magical Eyes, you could kind of cut Imduk, but its battle phase effect is sometimes relevant. Same thing for Link Spider. These 2 cards essentially achieve the same goal, because Link Spider and Imduk just help cycle your DM to make Eternal Soul more live. But you could easily cut one of these. I'm playing both right now, but you could cut one. If I had to cut one, it would be Link Spider. Relinquished Anima is another optional card, but it makes Magician Souls a lot better going second if your opponent plays their zones wrong. You are relying on your opponent to do something, which you typically don't want to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless you're playing like a hand trap or Bystials or some shit. But Anima is still just kind of good, like in general. Love Anima, but you could cut it again. Dark, Selene, and Access Code are kind of stock standard. Dark is extremely good in DM, like steal your opponent's DPE. Is very satisfying. Or you could just steal their Magma Hut, use Magma Hut's effect on special summon, and search Tamaya's. It's kind of niche, but knowing those interactions when you're trying to play a deck that's slightly below Rogue, or Rogue, depending on what your definition of Rogue is, you need to know those interactions. There's a whole bunch of niche interactions in DM that you'll figure out as you play the deck. And time playing the deck matters a lot, so know your niche little interactions. Selene can summon Dragoon on your opponent's turn. By the way, it is a quick effect to special summon the monster, because Selene do be cracked. You just gotta remove free spell counter, summon Dragoon, get an Omni Negate. If they out like one and you have another one in grave, summon it and get that second negate, boys. Or girls, or whoever's watching this video. Selene is cracked, but typically you're using Selene to make access code, because access code is absurdly strong. Also, if you don't own access code and you don't want to buy it, I know it's still like a $20 card, which is still kind of expensive. Play any other generic Link 4. Personally, if I had to play one, I would probably play Boral Sword because where is it? Boral Low. Here he is. I would probably play Boral Sword as like your next best option, or maybe one of the topologic monsters, like either topologic Bomber or topologic Zero Boros. I don't really know what this one does, and it's only 3 anyway, so it's not like as impactful. But either Zero Boros, which is a pretty good monster, and or topologic. This one is banned, so obviously you can't play that. So I would play one of these if you don't own access code. And you don't want to buy it. This card is dirt cheap. I'm pretty sure these two are as well. So if you don't want to spend $20 in access code, buy those cards. Naruto, Ebon, and Zeus. These are all like optional. You don't have to play them, which will kind of segue into the side. But typically use Apprentice and Souls to go into Naruto, go into Ebon, summon DM. If you obviously have Rod, you could search Circle before that. Get 2 banishes. Sorry, but get 2 banishes that way, and then go into Zeus, and then just clear your opponent's board on their turn. So pretty good. But if you don't want to play these, right? We cleared out based off optional cards in our extra deck. We were able to free up 5 slots, right? And we have 4 super poly targets here. So you know what? Maybe we put Link Spider back in here as mandatory. You would play. I would preferably cut these 4 over these, like, or you could cut the Dark Magicians and keep Anima if you wanted to. But moving on, if you are going to main deck Super Poly, it will eat into your extra deck because you don't want to side Super Poly targets, because you want your side to be more impactful. And I just don't like side decking Super Poly targets. I feel like it's dumb, and it takes too long in an IRL tournament to re-sleeve your cards, especially when you get closer into time. I don't want to have to deal with that, so I would just put these in your extra deck. And I have these ordered in how I prefer them. So Garyua is very good against Sprite. It like can eat an entire Sprite board, and when it's sent to grave, if you're playing like Nadir Servant for like Dogmatica DM, you're gonna draw a card. Or if they just destroy it, you're gonna draw a card. Pretty cracked. And also, any battle damage inflicted to your opponent is doubled. This card's just good. It's like more generic Mud Dragon, which is how we will transition into Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon is 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. He's not as good as Garyua. Garyua is a lot more generic, but he's still pretty good. You could summon Mud Dragon, and then you could just call Dark, and your opponents can't target Dark monsters with Mud Dragon on the field, which will stop Rod from getting Impermanent Veiled, which is kind of good. Mud Dragon's pretty cracked. That would be the main use of Mud Dragon. Dragon Stapelia is kind of dependent. Against Tier or like Branded, it's pretty good because it is just a fusion monster plus a dark monster. So that I like. But if you're playing against like Sword Soul, Sprite, Virtual World, even though it's not really relevant, neither really a Sword Soul, but not the point. If you're playing against a deck that doesn't make fusions, Dragon Stapelia is not very good. But it is an Imperm on legs against Tier or against Branded, which is fairly strong. Pretty good card, 2700 attack, big beefy boy. That is Imperm on legs. But if we move into a format that isn't heavily fusion focused, like the last 2 have been, we will play Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. The reason for this is that this card can get stupidly big, and it's just 2 dark monsters. Plus, this card is very, very good. I love Starving Venom, and I'm pretty sure it will nuke the field. Yeah. Hang on. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all your opponent's special summon monsters, so it's like a Regeki in the end phase for any special summon card. This card is pretty cracked as well. It's more generic than Stapelia, so I like it a little bit more than Stapelia for that reason. But if you're in a fusion heavy format like Despia format or Tier format like we're in now, Stapelia is better. So the current format, this is how I rank my Super Poly targets. Honestly, Stapelia could probably be above Mud Dragon. But I really like Mud Dragon's interaction to protect your Rod. To go for that search, go into Dragoon. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure how long it went on for. Probably a good amount of time. But again, if you're new, leave a like and subscribe. Let me know how you would change this list in the comments, and peace.